Major scales, construction of major scales. Well, this by now should have become breakfast for you because we've done this over and over from grade 1 to grade 2. In grade 3, the only difference is that now we just looked at 2 more keys. We looked at E major with how many sharps? How many sharps? E major? 4 sharps. Yes, so 4 sharps. And then we looked at A flat major with 4 flats. That's just the difference. Every other thing is the same. The principle for building up your major scale is the same. You already know it. What's it? Tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. That's it. That's it. So if you do your keyboard sketch, you know how to draw your keyboard sketch. If you draw your keyboard sketch, okay. This is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E. And then you use your tone, tone, semitone. You can do any of the scale. You can do any of the scale. But for the sake of argument, let's just say we want to do the scale of A flat major. So this is A flat major. This is A flat, right? So you start moving from that point. So you have A flat, you move a tone. What do you have? What do you have? B flat. You move another tone. What do you have? You move a semitone. What do you have? You can't say C sharp because you already have C. So it has to be D flat because you're on a flat family. Then from D flat, you move a tone. What do you have?
E flat.
E flat. You move a tone. What do you have?
F.
You move a tone. What do you have? Then a semitone. What do you have? So you see, if you get it well, you must land on A flat naturally. So you could see here now that there are just 3 flats without repeating any flats. These are the 3 flats. Now, if I put these 3 flats at the beginning of the stage to form a key signature, then that means when I'm writing out the scale, you don't need to be including the flats in the notes again, right? Because they're already on the key signature. But if they're not on the key signature, then that means when you are writing out the scale, whether on the treble stave or on the bass stave, then you have to put the accidentals as they occur. So there are 2 ways you can be asked to represent this. You can be told key signature. Key signature, right? You see your 4 flats or your 4 sharps. It means that all these letters that have been flattened in the key signature, automatically they're already flattened on the notes, so you don't need to add them again. Or you could be told, use accidentals. Use accidentals. Accidentals means don't leave the key signature as natural and add the notes as they occur on the notes themselves. You understand? So that is what, so if you are given a scale and they ask you, what key is this? If it is key signature, it's easy for you to find out what key is. Just go and count. But what if it's not key signature and you have all these notes? Then you will go and pick out all the accidentals in those notes, whether they form any pattern. To tell you, oh, look at all the accidentals. Do they form a pattern? If they picked out all the accidentals and find out it is B, E, D, and A, that's A flat, all right? If you pick out all the notes that have the accidentals. Okay. And that's it about major. So you can do the same thing for E major. Now you have 4 sharps. You can be either accidentals. And the other thing you must do is that, when you write your scale, you know that you might be asked to put a slur where you have the semitones, right? So if you write your scale on the stave, between C and D flat, you put a slaw. Between G and A flat, you put a slaw. Whether you are ascending or whether you are descending, it's the same. Between the third and fourth, between the sixth and the seventh, between the sixth and seventh note. Sorry. Yeah. No, between the third and fourth, between the seventh and eighth notes, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, seventh and eighth note. That's where you have your semitones, and that's where you kind of put the slaws to occur. So I'm not going to draw all the clefs. You already know them, you know. So know that it can either be soprano, treble, or bass clef. You just have to be sure you know where lettering. You can be asked key signature or accidentals. You can also even be asked ascending or descending. All these things you should be at home with them. But what you not to know is by now you should know your keyboard sketch. You should know your tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Is that okay? All right? Okay. So we want to look at the minor scales now. Well, I know you all are very much familiar with minor scales. We started that from last, grade. Every major scale has its relative minor, right? So that means if you look at a key signature, there are two scales a key signature can represent. It can represent a major scale or its relative minor. Okay? So basically, you take the sixth degree of every major scale is the relative minor. Those are just basic things that I guess you all know. But let's basically look at, there are two minor scales we are going to look at. We're going to look at harmonic minor and melodic minor. Harmonic and melodic minor. Before I just look into specifics, what do you need to know about harmonic and melodic minor? It's very simple. Here, seventh note is sharpened. Okay? For melodic, and okay, let's go back to harmonic. For harmonic, ascending is the same as descending. Do we understand? Ascending is the same as descending for harmonic. But for melodic, that's where it starts getting a bit nuanced, okay? For melodic, ascending is different. In ascending, you sharpen sixth and seventh notes. Okay, when I mean sharpen, I mean just raise it by a semitone. It doesn't mean you must always add a sharp. Please note that. It doesn't mean you must always add a sharp. If, for example, the note there is flat, you just had a natural sign, right? So you have already raised it by a semitone. If it's a natural note that is there, then you add a sharp. So I should have, the right word I should use is that the sixth and seventh are raised by a semitone. So I shouldn't use the word sharpened. You understand? They are raised. Whatever the original degree should be, the original note should be, raise it by a semitone. Raise it by a semitone. But when you are descending, you cancel sixth and the seventh that has been raised. You cancel it. And that's the major difference. So note that for harmonic, seventh degree always raised by a semitone. That's what gives it the harmonic nature. For melodic, when you are ascending, the sixth and the seventh degree are raised by a semitone. But when you are descending, you return the notes back to their levels. The sixth and the seventh, you return them back. So that's very important. That's very important. Now, there are there are three minor keys we looked at for this grade. We looked at B minor, F sharp minor, and C sharp minor. These are the three minor scales we looked at in this grade. So let's start from B minor. What is the relative major of B minor? D major, right? Because you count 6 from B, you count 3. You say what? No, from if you are in a minor and you want to get the relative major, you count the third degree. B, C, D. All right. So so that gives you D. So D is its relative major is D. Okay? So that means it's going to use the same key signature as D. And that means that this minor should have 2 sharps because this D major has 2 sharps, C and F sharp. Now, what is the relative major of F sharp minor? A major. What is the relative major of C sharp minor? C sharp minor?
C sharp would be E minor.
E major. So these are the relative major. Now, I will just take any of this. If you look at a scale, and you look at the scale, so it means that if you are given a scale of accidentals or even key signature, don't just say it is E major, it can be C sharp minor. You understand? You have to check whether there is another note that is sharpened that doesn't supposed to be sharpened, and you find out why is it sharpened? But if it is, for example, if it is A major, there's supposed to be just 3 sharps. Why am I saying 4 sharps? You understand? You should start saying, and this 4 sharps is not E major because this, if it's E major, these are the sharps, but this one is odd. That should start telling you that it looks like a minor scale. Do you understand? Do you understand me? It start telling you that it looks like a minor scale. So let's just take one example. Let's just take a very simple case. You can do the others on your own. Like I said, we've done this. You can revisit the class, the video if you have any issues. So let's take B minor, for example. B minor, which is D major in terms of relative, right? So if I ask you to write the scale of B minor, you may struggle. But what I'll do first is I'll go and write the scale of D major. At least I know that one. You understand? I don't need to start. So what I just need to do, or if you, another way is this. If you know that the relative major of B minor is D major, then just write from B to B, but only put sharp where sharp's supposed to be in D major. So what would that be? B, right? C sharp, because of course, you remember? D, E, then F sharp, then G, A, B. This is what you call the natural minor. I've not made it harmonic, I've not made it melodic. I've just written natural minor from the relative major. Okay? All right. Now, for me to make it melodic major, harmonic minor, what do I do? So if you look at a piece of music and you are seeing C and F as sharps, but you're also seeing A as sharp, you should know that this is not a major scale of 3 sharps, because 3 sharps is A major. But now you're seeing the A as sharp. So she's just telling you that, could it be that because I know C is the first, sorry, F is the first sharp in the sharp family in terms of notes that are sharpened, then C. Then the next sharp should be G. Why am I seeing A? Does it mean that A is like a seventh that is sharpened? You understand? So these are things you need to start thinking about. So, and when you are writing, and of course, you should just know where the semitones are here. If you just look at it, you know this is a semitone, okay? This is another semitone. And then this is a semitone. Whether you are ascending or descending, it's the same thing for harmonic minor. But for melodic minor, you increase this now. You put this, 6th and 7th, when you are ascending. So when you see this, you are like, what's happening? Do we have 4 sharps? No. If it is not, because in the sharp family, the notes that are sharpened, you already know them. In their order, F, C, G, D, If you are now finding 4 sharps and it's not D, it's not G, it's only F and C that is the other ones are, you should start thinking this looks like minor, melodic minor. Because now I'm seeing 2 additional sharps. Do you understand the point? That is for sharp family. And this is what? This is semitone. And then this is semitone. So you see? But when you are descending, if you're on a scale, if you are descending on a scale, let's coming down now. B, you have to remove this. You have go back to natural. You go back to natural. Then this maintains itself. Then this maintains itself. Then this, then this. So you see, we have removed these 2 now when we are descending. So please understand this. The melody can be quite, a bit tricky. But once you know it, you know it. So don't be, once you see it sharp, don't be dazzled. Just say, okay, I'm seeing 4 sharps here. Don't just say, 4 sharps is E major. No. What are the keys? What are the notes sharpened there? Do they align with E major? If they don't align with E major, and there's only 2 that align with E major, then it means that maybe the other 2 is a melodic minor. Or if you have 3 sharps, like in an harmonic minor, and it's only 2 that aligns with the normal sharp family, 1 is half. That half is telling you that it's not a major scale. It's not a major scale. It's either an harmonic or a melodic minor. You need to check out. Do you understand? Is that okay? Any question? All right. Now, the other melodic minor, so this is for the sharp family. We're now coming from the sharp. Let's now go to the flat family. In fact, the sharp family is easier because you can easily know seeing different sharps. But when you now have we also looked at the following minor scales: G, C, F minor. All right, G, C, F minor. What's the harmonic? What's the relative major for G? G minor. B flat major. What of C?
Flat.
E flat major. What of F? A flat major. Okay? So now, this is where you need to pay attention. This should have 2 flats, right? This should have 3 flats. This should have 4 flats. If you see 3 flats, but the 3 flats, let's say you see 3 flats, the 3 flats you see do not rhyme with E flat. You get what I mean? The 3 flats you see do not rhyme with E flat perfectly. In E flat you have B, E, and A. But maybe you see only B and A. You can't find E. Something has happened to E. Then you should be thinking, hey, what should have happened to E? Am I on a minor scale here? You should start. So let's take an example. Let's look at a more complicated stuff. Let's look at F minor. Let's deal with F minor. Now, how do I write the scale of F minor? I don't need to memorize it. I just write the scale of A flat natural. Okay? I just write the scale of A flat natural. So, but now from F to F, and I write it in the scale of A flat. So that would be what? F, right? G, then what? A flat, then what? B flat, then what? C, then what? D flat. Because remember, the relative measure is A flat, so then E flat, back to F. This is just the natural minor. I've not done harmonic or melodic. Now, if I want to do harmonic, what will I do? I sharpen the seventh. Sorry, not sharpen. Don't use the word sharpen, please. It's not correct. You raise it because I'm not going to add a sharp to this now. I'm going to naturalize it. You understand? So I just take this away. Simple. You understand? Now, if I give you this in exam and I ask you what's the key, some people will just count 1, 2, 3. 3 flat is E flat. But you missed it. You missed it. Because if it is E flat, the flat should be B, E, and A. But now you are seeing D. So it's telling you something that it's telling you something that this should be, if this is not, this is definitely is not 2 flats because so it means it's not 3 flat because E flat, if it is E flat, it will be B, E flat, and A flat. But now I'm seeing D flat. So that means that 1 flat is missing. It should be 4 flats. But 1 flat is missing. And that flat probably is either the raised 7th or the raised 6th, depend. So then it means that you should try to ask yourself, that flat that is missing in a 4 flat major scale, is it a 7th note? Yes, then that's why it's missing. You understand? So that tells you now that this is the scale of what? F harmonic minor. Because we have raised the 7th note by a semitone. What's the implication of raising the 7th degree, which is supposed to be E flat, by a semitone? The implication is that the flat has now been naturalized. So if you write out your scale, if it were to be a scale, if you have your scale, let's say you have a scale like this, and then let's say this is the scale of, or just for readability, let me put it here. So let's say you have your scale like this, and let's say this is the scale of, let's say this is G12. Okay? So if you write in your scale and then you get to where you have this is E. In this place, if it is an accidental method where you do not have because naturally, we said that this is the scale of A. I mean, the relative major is A flat. So if it were to be a key signature method, you will have 4 flats here. You will write out your 4 flats here. So if you have written out your 4 flats here, what would you do here? Because if you write out your 4 flats here, you are going to have this, right? Then what again? So you have, there is this, and this, okay? So in that case now, what will you do to this 7th note here? You are going to, because already the flat is flattening it, but you want to show that it is harmonic. So you want to raise the flat by a semitone. So what you need to do is to add a natural sign. Add a natural sign here to show that this flat does not affect this, so it's been naturalized. So that's what this implies here. That's what it implies. And of course, you can tell where your semitones are. This is semitone, right? Here again, this is semitone, and this is semitone. So please note that when you are doing your harmonic, of course, when you are descending, it's the same thing. But if it were to be an accidental method, so that means you don't have the key signature here. Then you don't need this natural sign. You just leave this note as it is. The reason why we put the natural sign here because there's an accidental we want to naturalize rather. But since there's no accidental here, I just read this as E, which is this. I read it as E, which is this. So you don't need to do anything about it because if it were to be a natural minor, if I have not raised the 7th degree to make it an harmonic minor, then I have to have the flat here because it's mirroring what E flat should be. So, I mean, A flat should be, but because now I'm raising this 7th degree, I have to remove this and just make it natural. So, you have to understand how to raise your 7th degree, considering whether you are dealing with a key signature or an accidental kind of nomenclature. So, please, let's understand that. So, that is for harmonic minor. Of course, for melodic minor, we have to raise this by, when ascending, we now raise the 6th and the 7th by a semitone. So in that case now, 2 flats are gone. So it still becomes more a little bit twisty. If you are giving this, and you are giving a set of notes, a set of music, maybe music, and then you ask, what key do you think this music is written on? And maybe there could be, if there is key signature, you can easily say it's either going to be A flat or it's minor. 2, then you have to find out, is it A flat or is it F minor? But what of if you're not giving a key signature and you're only giving accidentals? Accidentals are pairing in a piece of music. And then you gather all the accidentals together. And you find out that there are only 2 flats in all the piece of music, A and B. What key will you think the music is? You may be tempted to say, oh, 2 flats. I wish major scale has 2 flats. B flat. Yes, it's B flat. B flat has 2 flats. But to do B flat, the 2 flats in B flat are not A and B flat. They are what? They are B and what? E flat. So it cannot be B flat. Then you have to start thinking, is it the minor of B flat? No, it's not the minor of B flat. Okay? It's not the relative minor of B flat. So you have to start thinking, where do we have this? Then you have to start thinking, you write out, you look at the music, you say, okay, we have these 2 scales. Well, if it is not B flat, and if it is not the minor, can it be a key that has 3 flats? You look at the key that has 3 flats, is it E flat or C minor? You write out the scale of E flat and C minor, you will find out that for the scale of E flat, it is B flat, E flat, and A flat. So definitely B flat and A flat is appearing. But E flat is not flattened now, because so it means that it's not the key scale, it's not the scale of E flat. Is it the scale of C minor? If you write out C minor, E is not the 7th or the 6th degree. So it doesn't tell me why E should not have been flattened, if you get what I mean. So then you go to the next one, is it the scale of, so you keep iterating these things until you get what ticks all the boxes for you. So eventually when you get to F and you write out the scale of F, you will find out that yes, in the scale of F, F minor, I have A flat, I have B flat, but E and D supposed to be flattened also if they are following the relative major of the relative major, the key signature of the relative major, A flat. But why am I only using A and B and D and E are not flattened? Oh, does it mean that D is the 6th degree, E is the 7th degree, and they've been raised by the semitone? So that means the flats have been naturalized. That's why they are not showing on the music, and I'm only seeing these 2. Then you can conclude, okay, this is the scale of F minor. You understand? So that kind of helps you to also know how to determine what the key of the music is when you don't have key signature. And you're only giving music in accidentals to sort out what the keys are, which is something you must be acquainted with as you go up in the learning scale, in the learning ladder. So that is everything about minor scales for now. There are no questions. Any question? Okay, there are no questions. Then we'll proceed to the next, to the last set of topics.